Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a bunch of results over the past weekend. We had 3 BCS events as well as a Busho China League. So all the information is here featuring the new set 12, featuring Orphis and Bastion, and obviously some of the other decks like Omina Gruzio, and yes, just some cool stuff, something that is very different from the set 11 meta, and just kind of seeing how the JP side of things with the set 13 kind of evolves with the Busho China League as well. If you guys need any coaching, feel free to hit me up on Metafy. Link is in the bottom right hand corner. Feel free to book a session and we can get started. If you guys haven't done it already, click that subscribe button and make sure to get all of the notifications for my new videos. Starting off with BCS Myanmar, this regional had some wacky results, and that's a kind of a spoiler for later. But anyways, we're just gonna cover standard first. So 1 Gandiva, Overlord, Jet, the Snake, so Megalonazuchi, Bastion, Omina Gruzio, which is the new Cat Dragon, Graham Grace, and Buffsark. Graham Grace is a pretty crazy one to see. And then looking at the top 4, so first taken by Overlord, second was Bastion Accord, and as you know, as expected, Bastion Accord straight up getting results. It doesn't have Sapien Owl yet. So yeah, maybe this player got extremely lucky, or the deck just really worked for them. And yeah, getting second place, a world's invite, which is cool. Third was Gandiva, and fourth was the Omina Gruzio deck, so the Cat Dragon. A lot of these decks are to be expected. I think there were a few results in the JP side showing the Cat Dragon. And yeah, I think that's a deck that I will cover on this channel as well in a later video. Then looking at the V Premium side, so we had 3 Royal Paladin, all 3 different builds. So 1 Jewel Knight MLB, Sanctuary Guard with 1 Great Nature, 1 Gold Paladin, 1 Bermuda, and 1 Genesis, featuring Fenrir as well. Then looking at the top 4, so first place was taken by Night Rose. Night Rose is still a very strong and formidable deck in the V Premium scene. And then followed by that is a Jewel Knight, third place was Highlander, and fourth was Leopold. So yeah, Night Rose is definitely one of those decks to look out for. It's just super consistent and it just does what it does. 4 Skull Dragon attacks, 2 turns straight, and there's nothing you can do about it. Then jumping to Premium, this is where all the wacky results come in. So 2 Oracle Think Tank, the highest distribution in the list. So 1 Battle Sister, 1 Tsukuyomi. We also have 1 Spike Brother, 1 Bermuda Triangle, 1 Night Rose, 1 Yasue, 1 Blau, and a Eugene. My goodness. And the top 4, first place was the Blau player. We will have the list to check out after this. Second was Highlander. Pretty formidable deck. I think a lot of people are kind of not giving it enough credit. I know Steven won it in some US regional, but I think the deck is actually still pretty strong, especially in a field with Narukami. 1 Night Rose and 1 Eugene coming 4th place. Eugene, love to see it. This is a deck that no one really expected to win in any format whatsoever, and coming 4th place, that is really, really awesome. One thing to note is that we don't see a single Narukami in this distribution, right? Because the Eugene was a Kagero, which I guess in a smaller regional, a lot of these players play their, fan favorites, their, personal picks. So, more diversity will come out of that. So yeah, jumping back to the top 4, this is the top 4 here, and then we'll look at each of the lists. The 2 big lists is the Blau list. So this Blau list is pretty interesting. I know that there were Razor lists where, you ride up and ride down. This is just straight up Blau, playing 4/4 Galaxy and Stern, like the V counterparts. Maximum early game consistency, playing, all of the V Blau engine, and I think they played this G one, which is pretty interesting. So essentially, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, i.e. your Vanguard attacks, you can cast +1 soul +1, stand this unit gains +2, so it's an 11k. And then, yeah, there's just a few really weird stuff like the Limit Break Enabler. I guess that really works well with your strides, especially because they are Limit Break 4. I guess restricted, so if you have this in the field, if you heal out from 4 to 3, then you don't really care. And then you also played this Rare Ma Blau Racket. So essentially, if it's placed on rear guard, and you have a Blau Vanguard, if the number of cards in your damage zone is more or equal to your opponent's, then it's a utility card, right? countercharge 1, soul charge 1. Put this unit into soul. When the attacker of your Blau hits a Vanguard, then, you know, draw a card. I think this is primarily used for the countercharge soul charge because I think this deck expends a lot of resources. And I think a lot of your strides, a lot of your grade 3s utilizes a lot of that. I know that Blaukluge itself, you know, when placed on Vanguard, but I guess this is like in the early game. So I guess, like, you know, if you're playing this in the early game, you're playing a grade 2 game, you can kind of keep up with the pace and, you know, keep countercharging if you try to deny yourself purposely, and if your opponent tries to, you know, deny you, and then you drop this and, you know, make your opponent cry a bit. But very cool list. Focuses, you know, a lot on, I guess, the Blau strides and still having access to the Merciless Dragon for, you know, multiple restands. And I know that your rearguard restands as well, such as this guy. So, you know, you have multiple ways to be able to restand. And proc Merciless's skill to restand the Vanguard as well. And for those who don't know, this is not once per turn. So essentially when you attack with it, you can restand your Vanguard attacks again and it restands again. So lots of attacks, but very interesting because this player would have been beaten a Highlander. So if that Highlander had any way of dropping a Honolly, that might have been, you know, a problem for this Blau deck, but obviously not. The Blau player just doesn't even care at all. So yeah, very, very cool list. Very great innovation to Nova Grappler. We did see Steven also play Victor. So to see another counterpart of Nova Grappler, you know, taking it first place, that is very, very awesome. Then looking at the Eugene list, so this one is very interesting, playing a base Eugene with Blazing Flare Dragon. So Blazing Flare can retire rearguards on, I guess, the rearguard circle as well as on the Vanguard circle. And you essentially Soul Blast and retire and start removing your opponent's markers. This is actually pretty good because then when you're retiring markers, then that means your opponent's tempo slows down. If you're playing against Narukami, for example, then you just get rid of their excels. If you're playing against Protects, then you get rid of Protects from hand. And yeah, the deck just does what it does, you know. Still goes into Dumjit as one of your main strides. And to run a lot of Barakat. So Barakat, this was I think a premium collection stride. One of the latest ones. So when it attacks, you flip a G-Zone. And if your opponent has 3 or more open rear guards, this gains +10 in crit and drive. And then, yeah, if your opponent has 5 or more open, then all your rear guards gain +10. So essentially what you can do is you can Blazing Flare, destroy a bunch of stuff, and yeah, you know, restand with that. You also have Oswald. Oswald also restands your Vanguard. So the good thing is that, you know, you play with your Barakat, so you have 3 attacks, right? Well, 3 drives or 4 drives, right? And then you essentially restand with this. You increase or decrease its drive to 1, and then Barakat's skill actually adds 1 drive. So you go quad drive and then twin drive again. So yeah, very, very cool innovation of a deck. Still playing Best Harvest and all the good stuff from Kagero, on-demand retires with Dustin and a few other stuff. So yeah, very, very cool deck, gotta say. A very interesting one to kind of present to the world. So yeah, I think this deserves a world invite by itself. Very, very cool. So yeah, that's pretty much Myanmar. Very cool regional and a bunch of really awesome results. Now jumping to Vietnam. So I think they had a pretty big showing, nearly 200 or just over 200 players. So the top 8 for standard was 2 Gandiva, 2 Orphis Mask. So, you know, a deck that is very big in the set 12 meta. 1 Greedon, Eva, Minerva, and Jet. Again, Greedon, a deck that we have seen very often as of recent. First and second, both taken by Gandiva. Third and fourth, both taken by Orphis Mask. And that is kind of to be expected, to be honest. I guess one thing good going for the Gandivas is that you're retiring their stuff, you're attacking big, and Orphis itself doesn't actually generate a lot of hand. So you just cripple them and their turn just becomes super lackluster. So yeah, that's pretty much how it went about. Just looking at one of the Orphis lists, this is as generic as it gets. So you play 4 Orphis Mask, 2 Regis, so 1 being the ride line, so that the second time you can ride into it, or you can ditch it from hand to put a world from your discard into the order zone. Your order split becomes 2 mass because you can actually search it with your grade 2. Your grade 2 here allows you to put in, I guess, orders from your discard into your order zone. Same thing here, you can essentially foolish burial any of your orders, so you can come off one search your deck for an order and discard it. And then you essentially use your, Office Mask, Office Regus, and the Polar Axis Dragon to put your orders into order zone. And generally, all you really need is like 2 to 3, because essentially if you overplace the grade 1, it generates a token. If you overplace the grade 2, then you draw 1. So yeah, that's pretty much how the deck works. 5 attacks, really big numbers, because you essentially pop this and all your tokens just suddenly become 20Ks. Very strong. So yeah, and then jumping to V Premium, 4 Bermuda Triangles, my goodness. 4 Anj, not a single Davos to be seen, and then 1 Gear Chronicle, 1 Gold Paladin, 1 Angel Feather, and 1 Narukami. So yeah, the other part of the pie chart, a little bit more interesting to see. Then first and second place, both taken by Anj. Third was Minhyu with a Mystery Flare deck. Really unfortunate. Just missing out on the World's Invite. And then fourth place was an Anj. So yeah, unlucky my guy. Got to get the next one, unfortunately. And then jumping to Premium, we have 3 Mega Colony, where 1 of them is Gridor and 2 are Flagbird Colony. 2 Narukami being Vanquisher with a splash of, Eradicated with a splash of Vanquisher. 1 Oracle Think Tank, which is Witches. 1 Night Rose and 1 Nobatama. Then taking it all was 1 of the Flagbird Colonies, and I think I played this player last year in Standard, top 8. I think he played Prison, so very cool to see, finally showing results and consistency in getting the top 8s. Got top 8 last year, and now taking it first place and going to Worlds. Very cool, congratulations. Second place was Anson Lowe with Eradicators. Third was Che Yong Chi with Shiranui, and then fourth was actually the Witches player. So just going through some of the lists, so we'll go through the Shiranui list. So this list is, as stock standard as it gets for Shiranui. So you're playing, Oboro as your main Vanguard. You also have your Great Lake Shiranui to essentially shove into Soul. You have access to your Mizukaze, but this list only runs 1 Mizukaze with a splash of Forbidol. A lot of decks play 2 Mizukaze with 1 Forbidol, so then you have 3 copies of it. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I guess that one thing you can do is, like, if the Mizukaze dies, then I guess you can bring it back with Forbidol. But if you're playing into a field with Narukami, then that might be a little bit detrimental, especially if they're buying your own Mizukaze. Not really much you can do. But a really cool thing is this. So he plays the starter. So when it's placed on Rearguard or Guardian Circle, you choose one of your units and increase and decrease the power and shield of this unit to match that unit until the end of turn. Yeah, that's a pretty cool inclusion. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess this is good if you're going into, like, this guy. So you essentially copy your opponent's Vanguard's power, and then, like, you I think it's like you bounce everything to hand, or you return all your Rearguards to hand and then call them out, and if your opponent gets like a defensive trigger, then it copies. If your opponent hits an OT, these 2 grade 0s just suddenly become OTs. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, very interesting inclusion of 4 of, and dropping 1 Mizukaze, maybe some of your other grades as well. Only playing 8 grade 1s, which is pretty wild. But yeah, very cool list. Not gonna lie, props to you, Chi for this list. Yeah, didn't expect that at all. But otherwise, everything else is kind of it. You drop a Mizukaze and your opponent literally can't do anything. So yeah, and then just looking at the Witches list, this one is pretty interesting. I think it's a different take on OTT. I know that a lot of Susanoo lists obviously try to farm back Popo. This list doesn't really. You just kind of draw a bunch. I guess, like, one thing you can do, I think this card rewrites, if I'm not mistaken, so at the end of battle that your Vanguard with Witch attacks, and it works on front or Rearguard as well. So you can come up 1, discard 2, and then essentially choose a grade 3 from your hand and ride it. So essentially OTT now has an Ishikishima where you rewrite over until grade 3 and then just start bashing again. So it's a multi-attack with Ichikishima. Pretty disgusting. But yeah, very cool list, I gotta say. Very different take on Susanoo, because we've seen a lot of Susanoo, you know, double Popo makes it so that your opponent actually can't guard. And yeah, so cool list, playing 4-bit to get your witches and stuff. So yeah, very, very cool list. I think you play the one Susanoo if you're going second, because you can search out it with Amena Murakumo, and then you stride into the Kirin to get your 2 protects. And then you rewrite into obviously one of your witches, put the 2 witches on the side, and then, you know, rewrite over and etc, etc. So yeah, maybe you have like one side as Popo, you know, you multi-attack with your Vanguard, stuff a bunch of power onto the rear guard, and then Popo becomes unguardable. So yeah, very cool list. Then looking at Spain, so standard Spain had 2 Minervas, 1 Willista, Greedon, Zorga, PBO, Jujud, and a Claudine. Wow. Claudine is pretty wild to me. A deck that nobody would have ever thought. And then top 4, first was the PBO. My goodness. We do have the list to kind of look at. Second was Minerva, third was Greedon, and fourth was a Jujud. Very cool to see Jujud, because I don't think we've ever seen much of Jujud results in the West. So finally getting to see, you know, one of the cooler decks finally get a top. Then looking at the PBO list, it's pretty standard. You're playing Cutie now. Everything else kind of stays the same as it was before. You know, you have your Sack 2 with the drive, with Clodnar. Everything else is just kind of the same. I guess the only real new addition is Spiral Cutie. So I guess maybe your early game is a little bit better. You know, you discard Cutie, you Soul Blast stuff. So you start attacking with like more stuff in the early game. And if your opponent doesn't respond to your rush, then your units just kind of stay on the board, and then you sack them, right? And then just get like a bunch of drives or whatever. So yeah, very, very cool list. Then looking at the Jujud list. So this list is, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you play your Jujud line, 4 mask. You play the Skull Camera to find your mask. You play 4 rock, 4 Empusa. And then yeah, everything else is just kind of as it is. No fancy stuff like the 1 grade 4 to kind of put into deck, because I think everything just kind of works in synergy. You will always get your, I guess, 4 grades in Soul anyways. So yeah, very cool list. Then jumping to V, this is where we, you know, see what we expect. So 3 Thavas, 1 Anj, 1 Jewel Knight, Gurgit, Vanquisher, and the Grand Blue. Then the top 4, Yoan taking it all with Thavas. Congratulations, buddy. Finally get to go back to Worlds. Second place was Gurgit, third was Night Rose, and fourth was Anj. All of these decks very, very strong in the V format. Then for Spain, a lot of people use Lee Joker. Geez, 3 Chaos Breaker, 1 Spike Brother, 1 Shirunui, 1 Neonectar, 1 Gear Chronicle, which is Maiden, and 1 Eve Loop. Then first place taking it all by Louis, playing Neonectar. We do have the list to kind of show after this. Second was the Spikes, third was Shirunui, and then fourth, just coming short with Eve Loop. I think the most successful Eve Loop so far, coming 4th place. So just looking at the Neonectar list, this is pretty interesting. So you're playing Stan Peony with the G Usher, and then one of the V Usher with the same name. Essentially what you do is you have 2 Exploders. So when you get to the point where you're about to lose, you just stride into Megaloma. And if your opponent attacks, you just drop a damage explode and just end their turn. Then the next turn, you just keep looping into this, and then you loop with, what's it called? Horticulture. And then you pretty much just outpace your opponent, because your opponent just doesn't get the generation of advantage, right? Because your opponent's turn just ends, right? Usually in the initial stages, you go into Green Katrina, you pop like 2, I don't know, Anelmas or anything that generates like a token, and then 3 of your PG, you CB1, return all your PGs back to hand, so then you have all the PGs in the world, and then you just, you know, progressively go towards double Megaloma. I think one of the comments Louis had was to add a 3rd one. So a very interesting take on Neonectar, definitely something to kind of try out. So yeah, very great innovation for Neonectar. So congratulations to Louis. Then looking at the BCL for Wenzhou, so 2 Youthberg, 1 Jujud, Mygo, Training Tools, Leonor, Mushiking, and Shoujo Doji. Wowee.
Then the top 4 taken by Youthberg. As expected, Full Blast is one of the best decks in the format come set 13. Then second was Jeweled Ignis, third was Training Tools, and fourth was Youthberg. And that's pretty much all the results we have for this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of all the results over this weekend. I know we have a bunch of results coming up for this weekend. We have BCS Jakarta, which I'm attending, and a lot of others around the world. I think BCS Houston as well. So lots to cover over this next week. If you guys haven't already, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.